you see Scherzer in the videos yesterday. He's apoplectic, and Buck's just like, okay, all right, ain't no problem, whatever. Where's Buck throwing the hat down and
I don't know.
kicking
You know
the dirt
what?
on the shoes of the umps? Let's go.
I don't know. This is a weird thing. The whole thing is weird, and I think Buck recognizes that. I would think that the umpires have made their point, and there's really not much he can do about it. He's not going to get them to change their minds.
But how many
and the way
times
he was talking about it after the game didn't sound like he was very supportive of his player.
Right. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe he knows that Max was using something, and that's why he wasn't fighting back? Why was Buck not passionate about defending Max Scherzer?
Because he probably knows that he was using something.
Okay. Yeah. All right. There's my answer.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to get at here. Because if he really thought that the umpires were unfair to one of his most important players in this situation where that player was really, really upset, then I would have thought that Buck would have gotten thrown out too. Now, I know you say he's not going to change a mind, but how many times have we seen umpires who know they're not going to change the mind of the umpire? I mean, how many managers who are not going to change the mind of the umpire go out there and just basically get in their face, throw their hat down, chest bump, and everything else?
Have you ever used a rosin bag?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah. I've used a rosin bag, and normally what the rosin bag is all about is not necessarily to create a tackiness, but it is to dry off the perspiration on the back of your hand and on the front of your hand to make sure that your hand is dry and the ball's not slipping out of your hand.
Right.
Now, the fact that he's claiming this creates a stickiness, like a tackiness. To me, there's one substance on the baseball field that creates that, and that's pine tar.
Well, also we heard during this whole sticky stuff thing that started last year was that sunscreen and rosin together create a very, very sticky substance.
Right,
so,
you're playing in L.A., so you might want to put some sunscreen on, right?
Sure, yeah. So maybe that was it.
Yeah, so, I don't know about that. I have never tried sunscreen and rosin in my life.
Well, that's what players were saying at the time. And they said, well, you're going to outlaw sunscreen? Like, what if I'm, of Norwegian complexion?
You got to use SPF 50.
Right, exactly.
At least.
You can't go out there without it. Mm-hmm. So then those are two legal substances, and you end up putting them together, and then all of a sudden you got a little bit of a sticky situation on your hands.
Stickiness. There's a lot of stickiness.
Yeah.
And the umpire behind Dan Bellino, the umpire crew chief, basically said, look, man, stickiest hands we felt.
Stickiest hands we have felt. The more I'm talking this out with you, the more I believe that something nefarious was going on with Max Scherzer. I mean, I want to defend him and everything, but I mean,
I don't know how you can. I mean, they told him to change gloves. They told him to wash his hands. An MLB official watched him wash his hands. Got to wash your hands now.
Yeah,
somebody's got to watch you wash your hands. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, and of course, this is a Met pitcher, and of course, it's a highly paid Met pitcher who's been, very, very inconsistent since the end of last year and the beginning of this year. And now the back problem, the moving him around. I mean, it's becoming it's like such drama-filled everything around him.
Yeah, I have not liked his tenure here as a New York Met with the IL stints last year, the way that he pitched in Atlanta, the way he pitched against the Padres at the beginning of this year. This is not
This
is not what Steve Cohen paid for.
All I know is that the umpires aren't there to throw somebody out. That they don't want to get into this.
Well, especially when it's someone like Max Scherzer. I mean, this is not just some low-level, middling reliever who comes in. This is one of the game's biggest stars, and you got the New York and L.A. playing, and it's a game that a lot of eyeballs are on.
I have to believe that Major League Baseball will come out today at some point in time, if they haven't already, and they will support their umpires. They will support the umpires. They will not support the player here. And I saw where Scott Boras, I guess, came out and said, we can't have Phil Cuzzi being the arbiter of all of this. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah,
that we have to have some other way of determining. I think it was Boras. I think it was who it was. We have to have some other way of determining what kind of substance this is, and who is determining whether or not it should be allowed. I mean. What are we doing? I mean, Here's a great, you have a great afternoon game. All right, so here it is. So this is what Scott Boras said. The Cuzzi on-field spectrometer is not the answer. MLB needs to employ available scientific methods, not subjective, to create verifiable certainty of its rules. What?
What the hell are you supposed to do? Like, honestly, you get a Q-tip and a culture and, put it in one of those. It's impossible to figure it out. It's absolutely impossible. And here's the other problem with this is, so he's going to get a 10-game suspension because if you get thrown out, Max Scherzer, you get thrown out of a game for sticky stuff, you get a 10-game suspension and you are allowed to appeal. Okay, so how do you decide in the appeal process that he's telling the truth or the umpires are telling the truth? Unless you kept the evidence and you ended up testing it, which to me would be the most out-of-control, dumb thing in the world, that they're sitting there testing substances to see what the hell they are.
I would think he's going to get suspended.
He is.
Especially because they spoke to him twice. I mean, this wasn't like he came out and they threw him out. I mean, they told him, after the first time, hey, look, man, your hands are sticky. You better get this stuff, whatever it is, go wash your hands, which he did. Mm-hmm. And then he came out again. And this is where he says, I'd be a complete idiot to do that. But then again, I would say, I don't know. You still had something on your hands, and they felt it, and you're going to pay the price for it.
Yeah,
he's getting suspended, dude.
Right, and he's an older pitcher who has not had the success that he has had recently. He's looking for
$40 million. He's pushed back a start, back problems. The end of last year, the beginning of this year. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Other than the PitchCom, you're telling me there's a microphone in the glove where he could talk to the catcher? I missed that yesterday. Did anybody see that yesterday? I did. You saw that, Eddie? I missed that part of the game when he was taping the microphone to his glove.
And I didn't hear him say microphone. It could have just been a receiver. I'm not sure.
So it had something to do with the PitchCom. Yeah. So, and there is adhesive on the other side of that tape.
Right. So if Max Scherzer is sweating most of the time that he's out there, especially in the summer months, and the rosin is a legal substance, and why was it stickier this time around than any other time he was out there? Was there just more going on with Scherzer? What's interesting to me is, sweat and rosin is something that is in every start of Max Scherzer, unless it's 45 degrees in New York and he's pitching, and he's still probably sweating in that situation. And then you got an umpire saying it's the stickiest thing that he has felt. Not the umpire, by the way, who's thrown everybody out, but a home plate umpire on that crew saying it's the stickiest hand he's ever felt. It's just not adding up.